Hollywood thrives on secrets. Some are whispered in dimly lit returned rooms. Others are buried so deep they are in no way intended to surface. But 3 weeks before his loss of life, Gene Hackman did the unthinkable. He broke his silence after many years. Of secrecy, he discovered a fact approximately Hollywood, so darkish, so unsettling, that it sent shockwaves via those who heard it. But in preference to closure, his revelation best unleashed greater questions. Was it a caution, a confession, or a very last? Strive to break out the shadows, ultimate in on him. Live with us to know Gene Hackman was, by no means the kind of actor who surely executed, he erupted. His anger on display screen wasn't the theatrical, self-indulgent type that made Jack Nicholson well known. No, Hackman's rage got here from a deeper, extra-complex place, the kind that felt like a righteous guy's breaking factor. He had a specific capability to play in opposition to his very own anger, to keep it returned till it simmered beneath the surface, continually threatening to boil over, and that capacity, that uncooked intensity, became born from adolescence pain. When Hackman became 13, his father walked out on him. There became no dramatic goodbye, no tearful departure, only a silent wave from a passing car. That moment, that unmarried movement, carried more weight than phrases ever could. It became a wound that never absolutely healed. Decades later, he channeled that equal haunting wave into a scene in The French Connection, mirroring the loss, an abandonment that fashioned him. Maybe it truly is why I became an actor. Hackman as soon as said, I doubt I might have become so sensitive to human conduct if that hadn't took place to me as a baby. Left with a mom and younger brother, he struggled. To connect with Hackman burned with anger. At 16, determined to escape, he lied approximately his age and joined the Marines. It was an act of rebellion, but it became also survival. The subject and shape hardened him, but the scars of his adolescence lingered. When Heffenly broke into Hollywood, he carried that rage with him. He was regarded to offer directors a tough time, as though making them pay for the daddy who deserted him. What the hell, he once said. Make them pay. Hackman's pain wasn't just private. It made him keenly aware about Hollywood's dark underbelly, the elements Noon mentioned. He saw how, without problems, human beings tailored to the industry's cruelty, its politics, its bloodless indifference. But Hackman, by no means adjusted. He refused to merge, as numb to the hypocrisy and backstabbing the manner electricity overwhelmed the weak. He became known for his defiance, forkling out manipulation, whilst others became a blind eye. Maybe it truly is why he walked away from roles that might have made him even larger, the graduate apocalypse, now everyday human beings. If the cash wasn't right, if the deal wasn't honest, he did not play the sport. He changed into a this-great when confronting the raw uncomfortable corners of human nature. His overall performance inside the conversation remains his proudest, a portrait of a man affected by his own paranoia and remorse. And when he revisited Papy Doyle in The French Connection 2, he didn't simply replay the role. He expanded it, pouring himself into a harrowing detox scene that felt as real as withdrawal itself. Arthur Penn, who directed him in Night Moves, positioned it first-rate. He will cross, returned and go to a few early ache that many of us might as an alternative. Now not touch, he's one of Theoni's inclined to plunge his arm into the fireplace, as some distance as it is able to move. Hackman failed to just act, he relived, he uncovered. Here fused to overlook. And in the long run, that 13-year-old boy, the only left status on the street, watching his father wave goodbye, in no way certainly left him. But maybe, just maybe, that boy determined a few measure of peace inside the roles that permit him flip his pain into something extra than himself. Despite his personal struggles, Hackman carved his coal amongst Hollywood's greatest. But whilst he selected to stroll away, the sector changed into left, thinking why he gave a reason. Yet in preference to remaining the bankruptcy, his words best deepened the thriller, leaving extra unsettling questions about Hollywood than answers. Gene Hackman's departure from Hollywood changed into as quiet as it turned into sudden. A guy who had dominated the screen for many years, portraying some of the maximum complex and emotionally charged characters. In movie records all at once, vanished from the enterprise that had as soon as described him, his remaining movie Welcome to Mooseport in 2004 become an unremarkable send-off for an actor of his quality, leaving enthusiasts and critics wondering why he walked away at the peak of his mythical career. The answer, as he explained, become easy his health, but become that the complete truth. Hackman's decision to retire stemmed from a moment of reckoning. In a 2009 interview with Empire Mag, he revealed that a stress test in New York had been the catalyst. The doctor cautioned me that my heart wasn't in the type of shape that it should be setting it beneath any strain, has stated that announcement became enough to justify his go-out, a reasonable rationalization from a man in his 70s who'd given the whole lot to his craft, yet something about his phrases and the way he introduced them left lingering doubts. Was it really pretty much his fitness, or was there something deeper at play with the aid of the late 1990s? Hackman changed into already taking flight from the limelight. In an interview with Charlie Rose in 1999, he dismissed the idea of returning to the degree, describing his time in New York as a cockroach time for him. That preference of phrases, darkish, unsettling, hinted at the discomfort he felt about his surly years. In the commercial enterprise, Hollywood was in no way truly domestic to Hackman. He saw what others refused to renown: the energy struggles, the exploitation, and their relentless pressure that could ruin even the most powerful of guys. By 2011, he had spoken. Again, approximately his retirement, this time in GQ, admitting that he could best bear in mind another film if it may be shot totally in his very own residence, without them demanding anything, and simply one or people. The sentiment became telling. Hackman, a man who had as soon as commanded units together with his presence, no longer wanted to be everywhere close to the industry. In 2003, he stood earlier than a crowd at the Golden Globes, receiving the Cecil B. Deal Lifetime Achievement Award with pride. He declared, "I in no way desired to be something, however, an actor." And but just 12 months later, he left it all behind, had discovered solace in portray and writing, co-authoring novels along with his pal Daniel F. Lenahan, and spending quiet days in Santa Fe, New Mexico, along with his wife Betsy Arakawa. He had found peace in a world fair eliminated from the chaos of Hollywood. But the industry's shadows by no means fully disappeared. One query stays. Was it honestly simply the stress of acting that drove Hackman away, or turned into "there's something far greater, sinister"? Underneath the floor, simply 3 weeks earlier than Hackman's dying, a protracted hidden truth emerged, one that he had carried with him for years, but had never spoken about. The Hollywood he left in the back of wasn't just arduous, it turned into poisonous. And what he had saved to himself these kinds of years turned into eventually coming to mild. The industry had changed, however, not for the better, and perhaps Hackman had visible it all coming lengthy earlier than the relaxation of the sector. Did Gene Hackman turned into a man of sizable talent. However, he was also a person of substantial burdens. For decades he carried the burden of Hollywood's darkest secrets and techniques he couldn't speak of at the same time as he turned into nevertheless a part of the enterprise. But simply 3 weeks before his demise, he made a phone name that might change the entirety. To one of his closest pals, Hackman confessed, "I'm bored with maintaining this mystery in my coronary heart." He had visible an excessive amount of to the extravagant events in which Hollywood's elite accumulated below the illusion of party, but under the surface those gatherings hid some things sinister. He noted the unspoken, the horrifying fact that lay behind the closed doors of these elite activities. These events weren't just for fun, Hackman revealed. They have been a hunting ground. Hackman had always been a man of integrity, someone who by no means fully conformed to Hollywood's twisted norms. But what he saw backstage disturbed him to his center. He recalled watching young, inclined actors, and even kids being lured into these unique circles, most effective to be preyed upon through powerful figures, administrators, producers, even some of the largest names in appearing. It wasn't only some horrific apples, he admitted, it changed into the system. He referred to the fear that ruled Hollywood. How those who dared to speak out have been blacklisted, their careers destroyed, their lives ruined, he had visible. It appear too many instances promising young capabilities who abruptly vanished from the enterprise, whispers of threats of silencing processes that stored the reality buried. They have approaches to make you disappear, even supposing you are nevertheless. Taking walks around, he said, Hackman himself have been a goal. When he began to distance himself from the industry while he commenced Speak Me approximately, his soreness with Hollywood's moral corruption, he felt the pressure he became, given warnings. Diffused before everything, then greater direct. He changed into instructed to play the game merchants, losing everything. That was while Heck knew he needed to depart. His legit reason for retiring was health associated, and at the same time as that changed into proper, it turned into now, not the whole tale. The pressure wasn't just about the disturbing roles or the lengthy hours, it was about the load of what he knew the enterprise that had given him the entirety had additionally shown him its ugliest face, and he could no longer be a part of it. No, in his very last days he should no longer keep silent. People want to recognize, he told his friend. They want to understand what certainly occurs in the back of those gates. Apart from this, Gene Hackman's loss of life has pulled lower back the curtain on yet some other dark facet of Hollywood. But before we reveal that, let's discover a shocking connection between certainly one of his movies and the thriller surrounding. His passing, Gene Hackman's presence on screen was nothing quick of commanding. Standing at 6'2", he appeared even larger in his roles, towering both physically and emotionally over the landscapes he inhabited. Yet in 1974's The Conversation, one of the best films of his profession, Hackman performed towards that very presence. His individual Harry Call become a person haunted via his very own ethical dilemmas, ate up via paranoia, and in the end shattered by using his incapacity to distinguish fact from manipulation. With Hackman's latest and tragic death, which eerily involved now not just him, but additionally his wife and their canine, in what has been formally labeled an accident, The Conversation takes on a disturbingly prophetic, exceptional his performance as Call, a surveillance professional who will become trapped in a web of deception, now feels like an unsettling replicate of the sector we live in nowadays. But more than that, it seems to trace at something a ways extra sinister, hidden in the back of Hackman's final days in the communique. Harry name as a person fed on through guilt, his surveillance work once led to the deaths of 3 people, leaving him tormented and cautious of human connection. When hired to spy on a younger couple, he misinterprets a critical communication, believing they may be in danger of being murdered. In a haunting dream collection, Cole desperately tries to warn the Lady Amy. Through a fog-laden panorama, he calls out to her finally, uttering the unforgettable line, "I'm not terrified of dying, I am scared of homicide." The weight of those phrases is not just philosophical. They replicate Cole's deep terror of unseen forces orchestrating destruction from the shadows. Cole's tale in the communication is one of isolation and disillusionment, his paranoia growing as he realizes he has been manipulated into playing a position in something sinister. As he tears aside his own condominium searching for hidden surveillance gadgets, it turns into clean that he's going to in no way locate peace because the force is watching him operate in ways she cannot absolutely realize. Hackman too withdrew from Hollywood, retreating right into a quiet lifestyles of painting and writing. Was it simply the pressure of performing as he claimed, or changed into something deeper? He in no way publicly denounced the industry. However, people who knew him say he had misplaced faith in it long in the past. His profession spanned many years, wherein he witnessed firsthand the unchecked electricity of producers, administrators, and most important stars. He had attended the grand parties where behind the glittering lights darkish transactions took place. Was his departure from acting in reality approximately fitness, or was it about escaping an industry whose secrets and techniques he could not belly? In the communication Harry calls nightmare culminates within the cognizance that he's misinterpret everything, that the ones he concept were sufferers have been, in fact, the perpetrators. The revelation destroys him, leaving him damaged, and on my own and in Hackman's case, one closing, unsettling parallel emerges in his very last years, here guarded to be at peace. But was he simply retaining a secret too dark to reveal Wednesday in a time when people like the director Mark and Amy, vicious, unscrupulous, pushed via the desire to power engineering demise on a big-scale finishing important fitness care packages at domestic and abroad, tormenting marginalized communities with the end goal of their erasure from public life and existence itself, targeting immigrants documented and undocumented with deportation either to countries that will kill them or American detention centers, years wherein no one knows what is occurring, pardoning traitors, insurrectionists, fascist militia, and pedophiles, ushering extremists into the maximum degrees of presidency, assisting genocidal authoritarians across the globe with the goal of copying their playbook here at home. Hackman infused Harry with an infectious empathy, a want to hear and be heard, to percentage painful stories of our common human foibles and fears, to consider the first rate in humans like Amy the female in his dream. He showed what takes place to someone like Harry while that belief is shattered, from coaching powerful instructions via his films while alive, to exposing Hollywood's darkest secrets in dying. Gene Hackman's legacy now includes an unsettling new weight. At 95, Hackman had lengthy, given that retreated from the limelight, selecting a quiet lifestyles with his spouse, Betsy Arakawa, in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Yet his passing alongside his spouse and their canine has discovered every other grim chapter in Hollywood's legacy. The instances surrounding Hackman's death defy easy explanation. The respectable reports recommend a twist of fate, yet info simplest deepen the intrigue. His frame become located near the kitchen Arakawa changed into, in a toilet along with her palms and toes, showing signs and symptoms of decomposition. Their dog, a German Shepherd, turned into locked interior, a closet. Investigators determined scattered prescription capsules, but no obvious reason for such a worrying scene. Theories have run rampant, from tragic accident to something more sinister. An echo of Hollywood's records of secrets and techniques, manipulation and quiet eliminations. Hackman's demise joins a lengthy list of Hollywood tragedies that had been mired in controversy. Hollywood's history is plagued by famous suicides. In 1932, the British actress Peg Entwistle jumped off the H of the Hollywood signal. Everyone is aware of the story of Marilyn Monroe, who coroner's trust took her personal existence. In 1962, Monroe's All About Eve co-star George Sanders died by suicide 10 years later, leaving 2 notes, one among which read, "Dear Global, I am leaving due to the fact I am bored." In 1997, 39 members of the Heaven's Gate cult, their hair cropped and all sporting modern-day black and white Nike Decades trainers, were observed dead in a rented mansion in San Diego. Another suicide cult, the People's Temple of Jim Jones, operated in San Francisco before its notorious decampment to Guyana, where an extra than 900 fans died. Depressed comic and actor Freddie Prinze, the senior, 290s rom-com preferred JR, shot himself in the front of his manager. Another gloom-stalked comic, Robin Williams, took his very own life in California's Paradise Cay in 2014. There are tinsel metropolis tragedies anywhere, each as a result of intentional suicide and indirect suicide, from noticeably tough dwelling. Hollywood has an extended way of life of silencing individuals who recognize too much, stars who query the repute quo, often face profession destruction or worse. Brittany Murphy's demise at 32 to begin with ruled asp pneumonia, however later shadowed with the aid of allegations of poisoning stays, an enduring thriller. Heath Ledger's passing, attributed to an unintended overdose, has additionally sparked limitless speculation, especially thinking about the roles he had taken and the darkness he became rumored to have uncovered. Gene Hackman's case, ICE exclusive, he turned into 95 aways removed from the Enterprise, seemingly at peace, but the chilling details of his death advise something beyond a simple coincidence: the way the bodies had been discovered, the ordinary situation of his wife, the presence of scattered tablets and the locked dog. It all paints an image that does not quite healthy. Can we simply examine Hackman and Arakawa's deaths without bias? The dark aspect of reputation frequently makes it hard for the media to expose real compassion. Their deaths are mysterious, and it's tempting to connect them to Hollywood's history of scandals and secrets. But maybe we shouldn't jump to conclusions. People like to turn stories like this into lifestyles classes. Pronouncing reputed doesn't carry happiness big. Age gaps in relationships are usually problematic, or that Hollywood is full of weird, secretive humans. Some of these thoughts might be genuine, however proper. Now, we just do not have the solutions. One element is positive social media will always flip superstar. Deaths right into a spectacle, feeding off gossip and wild theories. Hackman, Arakawa, and even their dog's tragic destiny remind us of something young Hollywood stars do not often comprehend. Sometimes the finest piece is being capable of live and die in privateness.